Okay, so Bill of Rights, amendments, what to what? Bill of Rights.
1 to 10.
Yes, 1 to 10. Now, what was kind of the problem with the Bill of Rights? It did not apply to which government?
State.
Yes, very good. It didn't really apply to the state government, right? So after the Civil War, especially, a lot of states were doing very, very bad things. And they couldn't really be stopped because they could say, well, the Bill of Rights don't apply to us, so we can do whatever we want, essentially. Now, this changed with what amendment? After that one. Yes, the 14th Amendment. So, this was something called incorporation. What is incorporation? Very good, yes, to include something, to add something, right? So they incorporated certain amendments to also apply to the states, and this was done with the 14th Amendment. Now, there are many sections to the 14th Amendment. For your quiz, you definitely have to know all of them. But for the assignments, and for right now, we're only going to be focusing really on section 1. So, there are 3 very, very important clauses in the 14th Amendment. This amendment is incredibly important for all of us. Also, I don't know if I told you kids, and if I did, I was right. There is a court case right now in the Supreme Court that has to do with birthright citizenship. So, I know it's going to happen someday. The 14th Amendment is all about naturalization, right? What does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean? Okay, but what about birth? You kids are giving like
what comes with your birth?
Huh?
Like what comes with your birth?
What happens if you're born here? Automatically a citizen, right? Automatically. Now, this happened because what people were here were not considered citizens, but then after the Civil War, they became citizens. Yes, people who had been enslaved, right? So because they had been considered property before, they didn't have any rights. However, after the Civil War, because of the 14th Amendment, they were like, okay, now you're all citizens because you were born in this country. So ever since then, and there is actually another court case that was like, yes, if you are born here, you are a citizen. Ever since then, that has been changed, right? Until, of course, this administration, where they're kind of thinking of taking that away. So, the 14th Amendment has other very important clauses, and these are the reasons why the Bill of Rights was incorporated. First off, equal protection. Yeah.
What happens if, like, the decisions of this administration says take that away? What happens to, like, this generation?
Well, we're not sensitive. They're gonna start with certain groups first. Like, I think they're gonna start with the babies that are born this year. And then they're gonna go with the babies that were born last year. And then they're just gonna kind of keep going from there.
You're gonna take the citizens away?
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And then what happens to those, like, kids and so on and so on?
They're citizens, different thoughts.
So, like, what happens after that?
They could be deported. So you would be, like if ICE comes barging in here, you can't say I'm a citizen because technically, if SCOTUS decides this, you're not. Anyway, equal protection. So, anyhow. Crazy times. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but he is thinking of putting towards the Insurrection Act. So essentially that means that the military can now be deployed against citizens. So they can fire at will, essentially. I mean, they already are, but this is ICE, but this would be like the actual military in cities. And they're gonna be starting in Minneapolis, if it continues, but I think it is. So It's gonna get real crazy, children, real fast. I really thought this was gonna be our year, you know. Also, he said, I don't even think midterm elections are important. And if you don't know why that's such a crazy thing, it's because these midterm elections are going to completely change both the House and the Senate. So if there's a lot of Democrats in the Senate and in the House, he can be stopped. But currently, who holds the majority in both the Senate and the House? Republicans. Yeah. So that's why he said that, because he knows that if the Democrats get power, he can't do it. But he's like, why don't we just not have votes anymore? Like, no. By November, you'll all be 18, right? Thank God. Go, huzzah. Please, we really need those votes. Okay, so, equal protection. Essentially what this means is that anyone, even if you're not a citizen, okay, anyone who is living here in the U.S. is treated equally under the law. You are all protected by the law. Especially if you're a citizen, obviously. But even if you're not, you're still protected under the law. Privileges and immunities. So these are the privileges that we have as citizens, and we are immune from certain things. For example, we cannot get deported. We also have certain privileges such as voting rights. We also have a Bill of Rights. What's the Sixth Amendment? What does it tell us? If you get arrested, what do you have the right to? A speedy trial and jury and you have a right to a lawyer, right? Also, Fifth Amendment, which is very, very close to what actually it's kind of the same thing. There is something where you have to go, in order to be arrested and actually put in prison, there's a certain process you have to go through. What is that called?
Due process.
Very good, due process, which is actually the next one. Again, everyone, doesn't matter if you're not a citizen, everyone here in the United States has the right to due process, which means you cannot get arrested without knowing what your crime was and without having a trial. You cannot just be thrown in jail, right? That's illegal, because we have this, not only in the Fifth Amendment, but also in the 14th Amendment. So we kind of have like a double whammy here. So, yeah.
That's a quick summary of the second.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, these are just like the privileges that we have, and it transfers over to every state. So it doesn't matter what state you go to, you're always going to have these privileges and immunities. For example, you can't be arrested without, due process. You're immune from being deported, right? So anything that is being protected here is being attacked right now. Now, one of these clauses has also impacted the manner in which cases are heard in SCOTUS and decided on by SCOTUS. Which one's it? First, second, and third? Third? Also, this is an FYI, children. not having papers in this country is a civil offense, not a criminal one. So that means that the most that they can do to you is fine you, not arrest you, not beat you, not kidnap you. It's a civil offense in the law, in the legal code. So everything that they're doing right now is obviously incredibly illegal. So just be aware, please, and don't talk to cops. Don't get involved. You can film, but don't get involved. I don't want any of you getting hurt, like that poor kid who lost his eye. I don't know if you saw, he got shot like, right in his eye. Please, children, please be safe. Okay, because I'm pretty sure it's going to start spreading. And it's not looking good. Hopefully it calms down, but I don't know. I'm not sure. So, whoever said number 3, congratulations, you were right. The due process clause was used by SCOTUS to incorporate the Bill of Rights to the state and to local governments, right? So it's not just to the states, it's also to cities, to districts. So now the states can no longer say, well, we're not, attached there. But no, actually, yes, you are. The Bill of Rights applies to you as well. Just curious, does anyone want to go out of state for school? Where do you want to go? What city? Oh, Michigan still. No, yeah, what city? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so due process means that both state and federal power has to abide by all legal rights and processes of all people in the country. So again, you cannot just get arrested. You have to know why you're being arrested. Also, what rights do you have? Yes, what are those called?
Miranda.
Yes, the Miranda rights, right? You have the right to an attorney, you have the right to stay silent. Please do stay silent, don't say anything, ever. I don't care what they say, I don't care if they say that your buddy over there is talking just all the stuff about you. Great. Don't say anything. Nothing.
Hey, what if you gave McDonald's all that stuff?
Don't eat from McDonald's. Don't drink their water. If you get arrested, ask if you can bring your water with you. Ask if you can bring your water bottle. Okay, you'll probably just say drink a ton of water, and then you can do it. All right, nice. My teacher told me to get hydrated first. Okay, any and all legal matters, all of them, have to be resolved according to established rules and principles. It's so horribly funny that I'm saying all this to you when all of what is occurring in our world right now. Because there are certain rules that they have to follow. Like, for example, the people who would go to the federal buildings to, take their exam, or they had a meeting with ICE or with immigration enforcement, and they were just straight up deported. You can't do that, right? They were there to update their information, which is legally required. You have to check in, right? That is the established rule, and the principle is that you will not get deported because you are literally there legally. You're trying to get your papers. There's a process to this. And also, it is incredibly expensive to get your papers in this country, and it's also very, very grueling and very long. Right? People think that you just walk into the federal building and say, I want to be a citizen, and then you take a test and you're done. That's not how it is. Right? It takes a while. It's a very long time. Well, some people it takes 4 years, other people it takes 8 years. It really depends. And if you get married to a citizen, it's faster, but you also have to like prove your relationship. Like you have to have like pictures, receipts of dates that you went to. Like you have to have like a straight up scrapbook. I know this because this happened in my family, right? You have to go to an interview. It's a whole process. And you also have to be married for at least, I believe, 2 years before you can actually apply for citizenship.
Wait, so Miss, the process is you need the papers, and then you apply for the test, and you're a citizen, or?
You get your papers, you take the citizenship test, but that doesn't automatically make you a citizen. And you then have to wait to be processed. Yeah, the process is what takes long.
How long is that? Like,
It could take months for them to even look at your application, let alone review it.
right.
It takes a lot, yeah, it takes a long time. Which is the reason why when a lot of people are like, why didn't they just get their papers? It's like, they were, it just takes a very long time. Okay. Now, very important thing. Just because we have due process and everything, it doesn't necessarily mean that the government is unable to prohibit certain rights or actions. So, for example, you cannot scream out, fire, fire, when there is no fire, right? That's illegal, especially if it causes a commotion and people get hurt or people die. You will be put in prison if you do that. Yes, we have freedom of speech, but certain actions are limited because it might cause harm to other people. So, the government can take away certain rights. However, there has to be substantial justification to do so. It can't just be like a petty reason. It has to be substantial enough, like it harms other people or it could create a problem, whatever the case may be. It has to be substantially justified in order for the government to take it away. But they are able to take away certain rights. Okay, any questions?